I was like, you showed your true colors. You're not in it for women and families and men to be happy and have fulfilling lives. You're in it for the power. I used my credentials for the inauguration and put them around my neck and used them to sneak into this event. So it was but if we are truly about equality, they both would be valued. Because
Ballerina Farm's like grinding her own wheat, milking her own cows, and like shaving the wool off the lambs in order to make her apron. And you're like, I just burnt my sourdough.
Yeah. Her husband, who they said he was oppressive, every video he's like changing a diaper or holding a baby or making food. I'm like, isn't that what we've been fighting for? Is that we help each other as equal partners? I don't think there's anything wrong with being a traditional wife. I think that's part of people's choices. If they want to be a traditional wife and mother, if they want to have children, and if they want to do that, I think that's wonderful.
This episode is brought to you by Truth and Treason, the new series. If you thought the movie was cool, wait until you see this. Check it out at angel.com/Ward Radio.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I'm your host, Cardinellis. Today I'm joined in the studio by Brittany the Shadow, as well as by special guest Laura E. Welch, back by popular demand. Her and all of her notes. Like, holy smoke, man. You always show, you're like Alex Jones with like the entire desk just completely covered with notes.
I won't misquote, Cardin. I won't.
Okay. And what brings you back into town? You're doing, are you doing another fireside or the EFY? What are you doing?
I'm doing a 2-stake fireside here in LA. And the topic, speaking of teenagers, it's choosing your friends is choosing your destiny.
Ooh.
One of my favorite talks. Who you are around is who you will become. Choose wisely.
Okay, so you are the youngest boomer we know. So, no, I'm totally just kidding. Anyway, all right, that's good to hear. Also and the topic today is the feminists showed their true colors when they went after Ballerina Farm.
Oh, yeah.
And then a Joseph Smith quote, you said women in the church should lead the world, not women of the world leading the church. What is that?
Joseph Smith said, it is not for you to be led by the women of the world. It is for you to lead the women of the world in everything that is praiseworthy, everything that is godlike, everything that is uplifting, pure and purifying to the children of men. We are supposed to be the leaders of not the followers. And so we have to be really careful as women in the church that we are able to decipher through the truth and the falsehoods that are presented to us pretty much daily.
Okay, well, before we dive in, just want to give a really big shout out really fast to Jen Jackson, who purchased this set of Panasonic headphones off of our Amazon wish list for us to replace the broken headphones in our fourth seat. It's your guys' contributions on Venmo, Zelle, and the Amazon wish list that keep this thing going. Thank you very much, Jen. We appreciate your contribution. So now back to you, Laura. How did the feminists show their true colors when they went after Ballerina Farm? What do you mean by that? I mean, there's some crazy stuff. Like I saw Jenny Gage was like going to her actual like house, and there's footage on her social media of like following, like trying to trap them on camera or something just like perverse and weird and gross. It's just this like voyeurism you're talking about, or philosophically they showed their true colors. Like it's really just man hating. Like what do you mean? What do you mean?
I think philosophically, because I think you and I have talked about like what does feminism mean, and like what does it not mean, and the confusion that goes around with that. What I always thought or wanted it to mean, I thought, was that women would be able to have equal rights. Women would be able to be mothers and be supported in who we are, while also being supported in career and be able to have choice, right? Yeah. It wasn't supposed to say like, here's what it looks like.
They're pro-choice.
You always want to like talk about this, Carter.
Oh, well,
let's focus on what I actually have some knowledge on, and this is
millions per year. But
it's very sad. It breaks my heart every time. Anyway,
keep going.
But I think it was about to be pro-choice. It wasn't supposed to be that like you have one set path, and that in order to be a leader in the world or be a career woman or to be a good icon for women to look at, then you have to, it looks like this. Meaning, I think they showed their true colors, because to me, the ultimate version of a woman being able to be her full self and to be able to figure out career and family, be able to put her family first while she's having that career. I don't think there's anyone more amazing than Ballerina Farm. I think you have a woman that has had 8 children. They called her a trad wife, which, by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a traditional wife. I think that's part of people's choices. If they want to be a traditional wife and mother, if they want to have children, and if they want to do that, I think that's wonderful. And so it's not a dig on being a trad wife, but it's that Hannah has never been a trad wife. Hannah is the ultimate woman, in my opinion. I think she's the ultimate athlete. And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, she has 8 children that she's like birthed,
crazy.
most of which at home. She is beautifully athletic, and she is mothering in like what many experts would say is the ideal way, where the children are with her. Well, she's simultaneously
running like
amazing.
$1 million empire.
Yes, like she's like the ultimate entrepreneur, but she's doing it on her own terms with her children side by side. And that's, to me, like miraculous. I look to her and go like, wow, girl, you're doing it. How many businesses does she have? She has a creamery.
Yeah.
I actually finally got to go to her store. Her yogurt.
She's got a brick and mortar store now.
Oh, she has a brick and mortar store.
I just went to it too. It was amazing.
You went? Did you have the? I think, is it frozen yogurt or ice cream?
Frozen yogurt, and I had the sandwich. It was peaches, goat cheese, something on like the wonderful focaccia bread. It was the greatest sandwich I have ever had.
Better than the Beaver Creamery run by the polygamists?
This was better.
This was definitely better and better for you, because everything she does is like healthy and pure. And I see her and I go, that's what I want for my daughters. I want them to be a mother with their children, not have to be constantly playing that like whole game of how do I do this with them.
Wait, you don't want her freezing her eggs before she joins corporate America and then finding out that the embryos were not viable?
Think that's a terrible idea.
A decade later.
Not every woman. That's not even. I don't think freezing your eggs is a terrible idea, Garden. Most women don't get to choose necessarily when they have children. That's super complex, and we have to be sensitive about fertility.
Well, how about we just eschew it, because corporate and capitalist America has convinced us that becoming partner in a dissolvable company that's just going to get bought out by the Fortune 500 is a more noble goal than, I don't know, creating life, which no corporation ever could.
Well, here's where I think we've gone wrong and where we've gone astray. Let me tell you where I've come up with this, okay? When Kyle, I talked about this in the last podcast, where Kyle went to Harvard Business School. I did not go, okay? But we lived on campus for 5 years. When I was there, I got to kind of see into the lens of what you're talking about, okay? So I have to tell a funny story. You ready for one?
Hit it.
Are you ready? Okay, so they had the 50th anniversary of Harvard Business School of women being able to attend, which is amazing and wonderful. And
while Brigham Young literally pioneered female voting. Like, do you realize Brigham Young gave women the vote like a decade before the 19th Amendment was passed?
I did know that.
And it was actually taken away by the U.S. government before they decided to give women the vote. And they say, oh, look how progressive we were. No, dude, Brigham Young was doing this decades before. So wait, 50 years ago, Harvard Business School. So sometime in the 70s or 80s, they decided. So literally a century earlier, Mormons were giving women the right to vote. And here's Harvard Business School, who looks down upon us as though we're like those knuckle-dragging troglodytes. They're all socially backwards way out in the West. Harvard Business School is like, yay, we just gave women the vote 50 years ago. That is pathetic.
Well, they gave us the ability to go to the school. That's
God bless them.
That's what
BYU's been doing that for a century.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe I'm getting this wrong. Maybe, I think that's what it was. It was the 50th. And someone might say, actually, it was the 100th. I don't know. But So they were doing these massive events on campus where they were bringing all the like most amazing graduates of HBS who were female leaders in the world. You had the CEO of Nike. You had like power players. Well, I, of course, wasn't invited because not only was I not a student, I was also a partner.
And because you've accepted the language of your oppressors, that power is defined by your status in a capitalist corporation, not by your status as a mother.
Well, I mean, students weren't even invited. So let's not have a chip on our shoulders. But I like my husband's gift is to getting into places he doesn't belong.
Hey, it's a talent.
It's a talent. It's a true talent. And we had actually gotten credentials to see the inauguration. So I decided, and we snuck into some parts of that. Don't tell anyone. I don't want to be arrested. But I used my credentials for the inauguration and put them around my neck and used them to sneak into this event. So it was in a now tore down theater at HBS. And I knew it well because I was in the musical when we were there. One of my favorite parts. And I came in and there was all of these like guards, like guarding the ability to walk in, and then you walk down. So I come in and I don't want them to notice that my credential is completely bogus. And I have a trusted friend with me who knew to follow my lead. So we realized we can't get in the front doors, but I knew how to get in backstage. So I walk down there to go through the side doors backstage thinking, I'm like, I know this hidden door. Okay. Well, as soon as I open that door, a guy is standing there and I'm about to be made. So you know what I do? I
punch him in the gut.
No, I play super stupid and I'm
you
like,
kiss him.
I go, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I'm lost. Where's the bathroom? And
I would have just torn the fire alarm.
No,
okay.
I play stupid and like airheady, and he's like, oh, it's over there. Well, I already knew where the bathroom was. So we walk, pretend we're going to the bathroom. Then we come back, he opens the door, he's already seen our faces, and I just start kind of twirling around and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And I'm trying to avoid him looking that I don't really have a real credential. I twirl around and I say, thank you so much. I was so lost. And I like spin around him and we walk right in. So we felt like spies, like we were not supposed to be there. And know who the speaker was?
Who?
Sheryl Sandberg.
Oh.
The CEO of Facebook, who had just written the book Lean In, which actually... There is some truth in her book about leaning in, going all in. I actually liked a lot of what she said. But she is among her peers. So she can speak openly and freely and differently than she would speak if she knew a spy like me, a stay-at-home mom, is in the audience. So I'm sitting there and she starts to say things, Carden, like, Brittany, it was like terrifying and like super sad. Mm-hmm. And like, it really was. And I just kind of sat there with like my jaw hitting the floor. Okay. I mean, like, this is how they talk, like when they are among each other. And one of the most sad things was she said, yeah, if your baby's screaming and hanging onto your leg, girls, you just got to walk out that door and go do what you need to be and be leaders in the world. Yeah, stuff like that. Something I saw at Harvard Business School over and over and over again, not just with the women, but the men too, was they have the priorities misaligned. Everything in there is the family is to support the career. Mm-hmm. For men and women. And in this conference, it was very prevalent. Instead of the like undying truth that we all know to be true, which is the career of the male or the female is to support the family. And that the family is the purpose and the center. And I saw it all day long. But what I also saw among these women is these were brilliant women. And I'm actually very grateful to many of them that they did become leaders. And some of them didn't have children or families. And we need women like that. We need women in those positions. But those women are a small percentage. Like male and female men, very few men and women are going to be the CEO of Nike. Or going to be the CEO of Facebook. And I'm grateful for the select few, but those are the women that have the mic right now. And they are saying all these intense, confusing things when the average man and woman would rather find a way better balance between career and family that people that achieve that level of success could ever do. They have intense trade-offs. So here as a female speaker, I'm like, where are the voices of the women, which is most of us in the middle, that are finding some dance between career and family and children and trying to prioritize our families while also helping to provide or pursuing dreams or whatever. And I think the ultimate woman that did it was Ballerina Farm. And I think it was that group like you're talking about that's saying like the ideal life is to be the CEO of Nike. And again, grateful for that select percentage. We need female leaders, but if they're the ones that only have the mic, then they're not going to say like the hard truths that actually motherhood is incredibly important. It takes a tremendous amount of time. It's very difficult to balance. So they're going to go after beautiful Hannah, Ballerina Farm, and her husband, like who they said he was oppressive. Every video, he's like changing a diaper or holding a baby or making food. I'm like, isn't that what we've been fighting for? Is that we help each other as equal partners? And Daniel is like the ultimate equal partner. They're like side by side building an empire. So it like truly did devastate me because I was looking to her as this icon. She's one of her best friends is one of my friends. So I started following her way before she was popular and just thought, wow. And then when they went after her, I was like, you showed your true colors. You're not in it for women and families and men to be happy and have fulfilling lives. You're in it for the power. You're right. Like the ultimate is to be a powerful CEO. And like I said,
you said the P word. All Marxist ideologies end up deteriorating into what? A struggle for power.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah. And power has never been happiness.
That's wow. So you said something very interesting that you noticed and you felt that for these CEO type women that the family was to support the career instead of the career being to support the family, which is at odds with, was it Harold B. Lee who said that there's no success outside the walls of the home and that can compensate for failure within the walls of the home?
Yeah.
I'm butchering the quote, of course. Which kind of does end up like playing into a little bit of a criticism of mine. I found that in Mormon culture, it's interesting. You can get out of anything. You can get out of any aspect of a calling by just saying like, oh, we'll have to work that day or that time or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we never actually move around our work schedules to accommodate ecclesiastical things. Yet you can always bump an ecclesiastical thing to accommodate a work thing. So I want, and they'll always cite providership, which yes, is indeed important. You do have to provide for your family and so on and so forth. But methinks that we've adopted too much of that corporate culture around us that says, you know, the family's to support the career instead of the career to support the family.
Yeah.
I think we do that too much in Mormonism. And it's interesting to say, you saw that behind the scenes, huh?
I saw it all over with men and women. And you just saw it like super clear, like, oh, the balance is off here. The balance is off here. Also love your point, Cardin, about like, we need like getting that. I think that's spot on. It's actually when you are able to like put God first in your life and make sacrifices, and some people do it like really extreme ways, and I think miracles happen and it's awesome. And I think in the end your career is blessed. But I get it. There's people that if they missed work they'd be fired, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're not telling firemen to like not show up.
Yeah, we're not telling firemen, but like, should we be using that as an excuse? Like, no, we all know, like, be ambitious for Christ. Don't be ambitious for corporations.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is interesting. So it took you to, you had to see this happen to Ballerina Farm before you realized it, is kind of what you're saying.
Oh, no, I think it's just really like, for me, it came to a head. I think I started, so I felt like I learned a lot. Like at this conference, there was many good things I learned. And I go back to that quote, Cardin, I think, and Brittany, I think it's not that there's nothing that these women were doing that was like awesome or good. Like the Nike CEO was fascinating and she shared really insightful things. There was one woman who I can't remember now who actually talked about how she took 10 years off and then came back because her family needed her. There was really smart women there who were saying like important things. But you had to be very careful, and we have to be very careful, I think, as members of the church. And I go back to the quote from Joseph Smith, where he essentially said, LDS women are to lead the women of the world, not the other way around. And I think it's important counsel that as we're like learning from the world, we have so much to learn from the world. Our church is very pro-education. We're very pro like learning from each other.
But is that us learning from the world or providing a service to our community and the world?
How expound on that? What do you mean?
Well, because I noticed that Brigham Young said we don't care where truth comes from, like basically as long as it's truth, right?
Yes.
And we accept all truth. And I noticed that so often science is incorrectly juxtaposed as being in challenge or in juxtaposition to religion, whereas oftentimes science catches up to religion.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, there's all the time we see obscure aspects of our faith, like the word of wisdom.
Right.
You know, fasting. Isn't it hilarious now?
Oh,
like all
I
these,
was just listening to a podcast this morning on fasting.
So it's been grilled into our heads that once a month you have to fast, and it's been perceivably just from an obedient, arbitrary once a month rule. But now that all these studies are done on fasting and mitochondrial cleanliness and cellular health and autophagy,
ketosis,
and what do they recommend you do at least once a month?
24-hour water or fast.
Yeah, so it's hilarious now that, like, if you're a scientific health guru, you're going to lean into that mic and you're going to tell people, you know what you got to do? Be a man and fast once a month. And it's like, wait, is this like a Benson talk from 1970? Because that's all I was raised on is fast once a month, right? So I guess my question, this whole thing begs the question, do you feel that, like, the science of economics, though it may be anti-family now and incorrectly positioned, saying that the family is to support the job, do you think they're coming around to being more familyist?
Women?
Or that science will, or that, you know?
I think a lot of women are. I think you're seeing that's the backlash of, like, women. Because something I saw with that particular group of women, okay, Anne Marie Slaughter, do you know who she is?
Ooh, wait. We have an elder Slaughter in our...
Anne Marie Slaughter wrote the article in The Atlantic called Women Can't Have It All.
Ooh,
she was an amazing... She's an academic, and she worked in the State Department when Hillary was there, and she had to leave the State Department because her teenage son was struggling. And she knew her priority, that she wasn't going to be able to help him the way he needed, but while maintaining that job. And I can't say how I know it, but when she wrote that article, it upset Hillary Clinton and Madeleine Albright.
Oh, really?
And I know that on good authority. Yes. She wrote an article, this was probably about 10 years ago, and said women can't have it all, at least not all at the same time. And she was the academic that really started to, like, she actually has since written a book to caregivers, and truly, I think that there are a lot of women like Anne Marie Slaughter and women I have met that as they've realized this is a highly complex issue, and that there isn't a one size fit all. But when you go back to, like, those women that we're hearing so much from, okay?
Yeah. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode as much as I am. Before we continue, I want to give a shout out to this episode's sponsor, none other than scripturenotes.com, the coolest way to read your scriptures online.
You can open up your notes for each one and type as much as you want about each verse and the insights that you get. You can do powerful Boolean searches using the search pane.
I use it myself every day and in every single episode, and I hope you love it as much as I do.
Scripture Notes is the most flexible, powerful tool available to you to study the scriptures with.
For a free 2-week trial, make sure you guys check out the links in the description. Now, without any further ado, back to the video.
Their goal is to help women be in the top leadership positions in the world. That's what they're trying to get at. And what I saw through is their goal is about that leadership, where I believe God's goal is, how do I help women be the happiest? And because most women are not just optimizing for career, they're trying to optimize for family and career. And so I think, unfortunately, unintended, we have too many, like, women looking to this small group. Again, grateful for that they're willing to do that.
Yeah.
But most women, that their motivation is off on what most of us want to do, which is optimize for happy lives, trying to, like, have, and we know family is a huge place for that for women. Like, generally speaking, most women want to have children. Yeah. Generally speaking, most men and women want to get married. And so getting advice of, like, it's like, I don't know, what's a good analogy for it? Like,
it's like an MLM. Yeah. So, like, there's women at the top, and they're telling, sell enough like this and you too can be like me, except they probably will never be at the top. And meanwhile, they're miserable because they're the little worker bees that are doing all this work, and they're getting overwhelmed. And then all of a sudden it's like, crap, well now I'm 40 and I'm single and I didn't freeze my eggs, and is it too late for me?
Yeah. Yeah, and they kind of sell it, kind of what you're saying is they kind of, people would maybe disagree with me on this, but they kind of sell one path. It's at least what I saw there.
Yeah, go to Harvard, work here, get this internship, you know this guy, it's all networking, and then you can take my spot. And it's not going to happen.
And I actually really believe passionately, and I experienced this through being on my knees and praying to God about a woman's path, is I prayed and was like, well, what's a woman's path?
Wait, who are you praying to?
God.
Not Heavenly Mother?
Oh my gosh.
Are you well, maybe that's why you got the wrong answer.
So she was probably eavesdropping.
I watched Faith Matters. I know what you should have been doing.
I was praying, and
Julie Hanks does not approve.
And I wanted to understand a female's path, and I wanted to say, like, well, what is the right way? I was being like kind of hearing this side, and I was also like alternatively with a lot within my more LDS Mormon culture. We have gospel, we have culture, and being like, well, I know motherhood is really important, so like, what's the answer here? And I got a cool answer, but one of the answers that I got was like, there is no path. Women don't have a path. And I felt really discouraged at first until I got a second answer, which is, that is why you must counsel with the Lord.
Yeah.
And Sherry Dew talks about this in her book, about how for some women this is very disturbing for them. Like, will we marry? Will we not? Will we have children? Will we not? Like, but it shows the great confidence that Heavenly Father has in his daughters, that we can do this, but it takes much needed counsel and prayer.
But that makes perfect sense, because people forget this. The opposite of love is not hate, it is indifference. The opposite of masculine merit-based pathways is not female merit-based pathways, but unconditional destination.
Yes.
Women get where they are going with time and nothing more.
Yeah.
They're breathed into existence when they're birthed and given their spirits by God, and they become women with time. Once they pass through puberty and they menstruate physically, or they just reach that point spiritually, they are woman. Hear me roar, I'm here, I just am. By sheer mere existence, I am a woman. In the temple, I don't need an extra blessing for it. I am. Yeah. I exist. By just mere existence, I am unconditionally woman, right?
Unconditional woman and unconditionally loved. Yeah.
Yes. So that would make sense that while men are seeking a path, well, yeah, because path has things like time and distance that are all masculine constructs.
Yeah.
Whereas the second you try and shove that upon a woman, you just create tension and stress, because her essence is unconditional.
Yeah.
So yeah, a woman, if she were to pray for a path, God would look down and just say, like, no, you don't need a path, because a path has a destination and you're already at the destination.
Oh, that's a really cool way of saying it.
Okay.
That's really cool. And I also think for women, it's like, it's a partnership with God. Like, he wants to help you on that path. And why I don't like this movement, I don't like anyone that pushes anything on women in any direction, in the sense that I think each woman intuitively, if she listens to her heart, will find that path, especially if she spends a lot of time on her knees counseling with God, like counsel with him. And so if a woman is intended, it's like, so I'm not anti a woman having a bunch of kids young, or having kids later, or having kids in the middle, or having a career, or not having a career. In fact, I think women are being kind of shoved either career or family, when, like I said, most of us are somewhere in the middle. I also think like there's an untapped like study of women that are pursuing dreams and gifts without the career. Like, there's a whole middle world going on that it's like all or nothing, like major career, stay-at-home mother. And it's like, actually, like, there's also like not a career, but they're doing like charitable work, or they're doing volunteerism.
Well, no, I think, Brittany, think you're an
sourdough.
amazing
making sourdough. Like, I love the sourdough, and how amazing that God's like, hey, you decide. I want
like Sheryl Sandberg, CEO, sourdough. You know,
Exactly.
But if we are truly about equality, they both would be valued. There was another HBS professor, a well-respected HBS professor that I got invited to go to a lunch with a group of women. And I said to her, at the time, I am a speaker, but I'm a quarter time. I'm most of the time mothering, which I've loved. And so I introduced myself as a stay-at-home mom, and she looked at me and she said, I think that's absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful for your sacrifice and work, and we need people like you. And this was a
Who
woman,
said that?
a HBS female professor.
Did they kick her out of the club? Did the administration hear it?
No, that's what I'm saying is the highly educated people are actually moderates that see this as a highly complex issue, like Anne-Marie Slaughter, who don't have this one-size-fits-all path that they're trying to shove women into. And she just talked about, she was very fascinating. She talked about the importance of if we want to help women be female leaders, because this was something she was passionate about. I am too. I want to be a leader. Maybe it won't be. I don't want to be a leader in a corporation, even if I had the opportunity. But I, of course, want to be a leader in my own way. And this was something that was important to her. She talked constantly about men and how if we don't do this with men, beside men, united with men, we will never be successful. She was that's what I mean. No one wants to hear that side of women, and she was brilliant. I wish.
Well, guys can't do it without buy-in from women.
And women should.
Word radio wouldn't function if there wasn't buy-in from my wife.
Well, I mean, she's gorgeous.
Did everyone hear that?
It's
recorded now.
Babe, but you do a really good. You run one of my companies single-handedly. Yeah. I started a company with my father, and now with the many things we have going on. Our children are much older, so their lives are a lot more complex. Ward Radio's gotten astronomically larger.
Yeah.
I'm having to travel more on behalf of Ward Radio. Being the director of Ward Radio now is taking me out of the country to these other places and so on and so forth. And that has increased the burden on my wife, but she's freaking handled it like an absolute champ. And I just look at this and I think, how do you do it without a wife?
Yeah.
How does a man do it without that support or the motivation provided by his children and providing for his loved ones, such as his wife? I don't see how I could have gotten to the place of enjoying the fun, the status, the influence at all without having gotten married and having children.
Well, I think that's the other lie is I think that ultimately both men and women are prosperous and better off in healthy relationships in marriage and having family. And I think that you're right. But that's where it's super complicated though. People don't want that simple, they don't want to go in and dig deep into what it's like to have a marriage and how to make that work and how to actually support each other equally and how to do that dance. It's highly complex. It's easier for them to just pit each other against each other, which I think is the worst part of anything feminism has ever done is the man-hating aspect is really made us digress.
Okay, cool. Isn't that just, I looked up Merriam-Webster's. I think the first dictionary to list feminists, I think it just said man-hating, didn't it?
Well, and that's
Wasn't
sad.
it 1898 dictionary? It was just feminism, pronounced man-hating. I think that's pretty. I'm just kidding. That's not what it said.
I thought you were totally being honest. I'm eating hook, line, and sinker. He had me.
Well,
I think
feminism, verb, the act of hating men.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, our society has deeply needed to figure out rights for women. The fact that we're where we are is needed to happen, and there's huge parts of the world that are women are horribly oppressed. But
and the church is actually a very liberalizing institution in those places. We were studying, I think it was either Nigeria or Sierra Leone, I can't remember, but the number one cause of death for women in that one African country is domestic violence from your sexual partner. Your wife your husband beating you to death. It was the number one cause of death there. And now all of a sudden you have this church coming in that says, oh, well, women, we need a Relief Society president and 2 counselors. What's the Relief Society? Oh, it's our women's organization. You literally run the whole thing. It's all yours.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's the oldest women's organization in the world, so it's actually very prestigious and populous. And we're also giving you money and responsibility
And we want you to
these
speak.
assets, and you need to speak, and you need to lead, and you need to, in a country where like your number one cause of death statistically will be being beaten by your husband.
Yeah. No, like it's like I know that's actually been highly difficult. I've heard similar stories like to do that, and that's where I think like we said this last time. The gospel of Jesus Christ is one of the best things to help men.
No.
You want the best men on earth? Go to my church.
That's funny. I was going to make a joke, but then I know it would just get clipped, so I'm not making a joke. You know?
And there's great men outside of our church too. But that is so true. And so I think that's like my biggest issue is when I think about our doctrine and what we are trying to do, it's like unity. Unity together, men and
so
women.
So what can we do? My last question is this. What can we do to produce more Ballerina Farms? I know you said that the feminists showed their true colors when they went after Ballerina Farm. And then you quoted Joseph Smith saying, the women of the church should not be led by secular women, but should lead secular women. Okay. How do we lead? How do we fulfill the commission of Joseph Smith? And how do we create more Ballerina Farms? I would love it if my daughter became a Ballerina Farm.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of funny. I knew Hannah in New York. We both were in New York together in the same
Did you ever get
ward.
to see her dance?
Yeah, actually,
so
it's kind of
good.
wild. We were both kind of just these young 20-somethings stranded in New York City. And I still can't believe it's one of the most beautiful artistic experiences I ever had. Her family couldn't come to one of her major recitals. Oh. And there was plenty of recitals. It's not like her family was like negligent, missed something huge, but it was one of the larger recitals. And maybe I did meet her family and an uncle couldn't come or something, but there was a set of tickets to the Juilliard recital, end of the year recital.
Wow.
And she asked me, do you want it? And I said, oh my gosh, I'd love it. I did show choir in high school. I was like, of course.
I did too.
Yeah, so we go on like double and triple dates together and stuff like that. That was back when she was like a pipsqueak this big, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not dressing in these gorgeous, beautiful gowns on. I think she'd done like 2 or 3 Miss Utahs and like Springville kind of stuff because she's a girl from Springville, right? And now the Hannah that we know of like Mrs. Utah with like the 8 kids and all that other stuff. That's like an advent that all happened after we were together in New York. But no, her and she had this, I believe she was like part Latina ballerina roommate who's a very sweet girl as well. They'd hang out with us sometimes on weekends with our same friend group when we'd go out on the town and stuff. And so she offered me tickets and I went, and they were great seats because they were the student seat tickets.
It was for her family.
And so I'm there and like one of the best seats in the house and one of the most prestigious dance schools. And this is another thing that actually people don't know about Hannah. Phenomenal dancer.
Oh yeah. To get into Juilliard?
She's actually absurdly good. And she's known for her looks because of the beauty pageant stuff.
Yeah, but it's her dancing.
But oh no, dancing. I remember watching, I was like, oh, this is next level. Like this, like holy smoke, she belongs here, like in a heartbeat. So anyway, sorry to bust out that.
No, I love that you did because I'm such a fan of her. Do you know Eliza, her best friend? That's how
we weren't that great of
so
friends.
Yes.
But how do we create more of that? I would love if my daughter.
Okay, well, I will say I love Hannah. I love Ballerina Farm, but I think we do have to be careful where we romanticize it all because she did marry the heir to JetBlue.
Yeah.
So how do we create more leaders? You got to be rich.
Well,
and then
it
you
does
can have
take
all
money
this money to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just
takes
think
money to make money, and she definitely walked into some money when that.
I think that has to be acknowledged. Although you never know how much they actually get. I'm just going to say, after knowing some trust fund kids, sometimes their families are more withholding than people realize.
That's very true.
And then what's so cool about them is if they could have just sailed off in the sunset, they didn't. They're like, whatever they were given, let's make. But I think that's an important point. I know for me, I wish I could have had more kids. I love kids, but my body. I had.
You have how many? You have 8 kids.
I have 5. I'm
not. 5?
I'm saying I wish. But I I had as right. Like we're all like we shouldn't look at her like we all need to have 8 kids and have 5 businesses.
Right.
I think what we want to emulate from Hannah, because I'm actually really glad you brought that up. Like that's important because the last thing women need is high expectations that none of us can meet. Because that's my every day of my life.
I'm in my kitchen and I burnt my sourdough, so I'm feeling great.
I'm done. Like that's certainly not what I'm saying. Because
Ballerina Farm's like grinding her own wheat, milking her own cows, and like shaving the wool off the lambs in order to make her apron. And you're like, I just burnt my sourdough.
Yeah, like seriously, like I don't mean that kind of thing. There's definitely some superior genetics going on with that amazing family, and she's a very hard worker and all of that. But we are all given different gifts, talents, abilities, and are different situations. I think what we want to pull from Hannah that's so special is that Hannah understands the importance, the divinity, the majesty of motherhood, and she unapologetically does it simultaneously as she's pursuing her own personal dreams and making her dreams. Because that's the other piece. I kind of hate it when people are like, what about her dreams? I'm like, guess what? Part of my dreams is to be a mother. And that's a great dream to have too. But you see Hannah like unapologetically demonstrate that she knows in her core how important it is to be a mother, and she will walk into a meeting with a baby on her hip and she'll like unapologetically go to the beauty pageant with a newborn, which like upset everybody. And it's like, if that's what Hannah wanted to do, then let her do it.
She was like breastfeeding her newborn like in the wings before she went on stage. Like, whoa.
That's hardcore.
Like she's hardcore to a different level. And some people took that, well, she's saying I had to do it. No, she didn't.
Yeah.
She never put that on any of us. Like I couldn't have done it. Like I have something called the baby cave. I go into a cave and I nurse my baby and I lay in bed for 6 weeks. Like it's special, right? I like my baby.
I think I laid naked on the couch for like the first 3 months, and I was like, if you want to come over, you can. But like,
yes, but this is National Geographic here. Yeah. I just gave life. Yeah, I don't think that's what she was ever trying to do. What Hannah did was what Hannah wanted to do, and that's how we have produced more Hannahs. Is teaching our daughters that what they are doing as mothers is so powerful. They can do other things on top of it, and they can do it simultaneously.
And that's what pisses off our enemies is that she wanted it.
Yeah, that she chose it.
They don't want women to want it. They don't want women to choose it when able to choose voluntarily. That's what really eats.
That's what. Yes, because they're like, why didn't Hannah become this?
Why isn't she dark and frustrated and substituting kittens for children like I did?
Yes, that's right. I think that's what I want my daughters to pull from Hannah. I also think, like, I want to honestly say, too, I found it highly complex to have a career and family. I think Hannah's doing it better than I did or do. And so I'm not trying to sell this, like, lie either. Like, I think that's, like, the other painful thing is, like, when you have a mom of, like, 3 kids under 3 and she's like, why can't I have a side business? I wasn't able to, like, you know what I mean? And but like I certainly had dreams of different things and never gave up and prayed a lot about those dreams and made sure my priorities were straight. And what I always came to understand is, for me, that the most important thing that would bring me happiness is having a happy family. Anything that's secondary onto that is awesome and icing, but I needed that to be first in order for me to feel fulfilled.
And women are so like cyclical. There's a time and a season for everything, and just because that's not your time or season right now, it doesn't mean that won't be in the near future or in the far future.
Yeah. And like, I hate to be the downer on this, but some women don't get the season. And what my message to them is, like, you are doing a great work wherever you are doing it, and you are amazing, and God is aware of you and loves you, right? And that's where that there is no path can be so hard. And like, that's where with Carter and I've talked a lot about women. I'm like, you have to have deep empathy for women. Like, there's women who
I was there when she gave birth.
And Carden made the most heartwarming Facebook post. I think you fell in love with me all over again when I first gave birth.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
That was, man, oh man.
Well, and like, this brings me to the point of this, okay? Like, I'm going to shift us into something I think is really interesting. Is because women's paths are so complex, and anyone that has any sort of if a man or women, we have a lot of empathy for each other, and we like see how difficult it is. We see the women that have like a special needs child and like the toll that takes on them, or women who have fertility issues, or women who marry a guy that doesn't understand how to be a man and how to care and love and have an equal partnership. Like we see all these stories, and so we have like, my heart like bleeds for women, and why are women feeling confused and run down? But this is also why I think women are constantly being lied to. Because I think, you know, that like, I've heard this many times said where like, what you do is great, it doesn't matter. What I do is great, it doesn't matter. And it comes from a place of love to try to say like, hey, I'm not going to judge you, or I'm not going to judge your choices. And sometimes I think that's exactly what we need to hear and correct and right. Other times I think it's fueling women to be constantly lied to. And how I mean this is, I think women are told things like, oh, it doesn't matter if you do this with your child, they'll turn out fine, and this doesn't matter, and this, when actually that's like completely untrue. I think one of the biggest services we could do for women, for me, was when I would go and do actual research of like, what do children need? What do families need? What actually is the data saying I need to do as a mother, and then how do I fulfill that while also doing these other things I want to do? But we don't do any women any service by like placating them and just saying like, it doesn't matter what you do whatever. Like when it's like, actually like raising children is highly difficult. It takes a tremendous amount of time and effort, and what you do every day matters. And I don't say that to like put a burden on, but I'm not a baby. You can tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, I'm digging this. So, how do we create more of these? Well, obviously, we don't want to try and create unrealistic expectations, but I think venerating motherhood needs a revival.
Yeah, and what that looks like, and Hannah like has like Daniel, how they've made him out to be this, you know, a horrible guy when he's an amazing guy and a wonderful husband and father. Like they just built like a studio in their house, like on their farm. Yeah. Like it's true. I bet Hannah, if she'd stayed at Juilliard, I bet she could have been like the number one dancer. But that's not what Hannah wanted. And I think what Hannah chose is really cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, check her out on her website or her Instagram. If you guys want to support this channel, please consider a generous contribution through Venmo or Zelle. And one last shout out again to Jen Jackson. Thank you very much for purchasing our headphones. They will be put to good use here. There are still other equipment purchases we're waiting for on our Amazon wish list. Links for that will be in the description for this and more. Please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com.